everyone, and welcome back. It's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and today we're going to be making this necklace, which comes from materials that arrived in this month's, the October 2022 bargain bead box. We're going to be using 3 different types of beads that came in that subscription, as well as some size 11/0 seed beads, which I know a lot of us already have in our stash, plus we'll need some findings to finish off the necklace. I'll leave a full list of materials as well as links to where you can get everything if you didn't receive this particular subscription, or if you just like to make something similar with materials you already have. Some of these materials may be available at beadboxbargains.com, and I'll link to those if they are. And you can also find everything you need from BB Craft, so I will leave links to them there as well. And I have a coupon code for BB Craft. It is OPAL5, OPAL5. That'll save you $5 off your purchase of $40 or more, and they offer free international shipping on orders over $25. I'll also leave the link for the unboxing video if you haven't seen that yet, as well as the link to the bargain bead box subscription, which I highly recommend, and a coupon code down there that I have for them. So lots of info down there. And regarding this necklace, what we're going to do is create 15 of the little bead woven components that include the bicones and the seed beads. And we're actually going to assemble this on some bead stringing wire after we've created all of those components, and we're going to string them on separately like beaded beads. So if you are newer to bead weaving, this is actually a great project to try and tackle because it's actually quite simple and uses some very basic materials. And you can also turn these components into all different things. Of course, you can make a matching pair of earrings if you want to very easily, and the list goes on. The other 2 bead types we'll be using are some of the 3mm finely faceted Hessionite Garnet beads and the 6mm English cut Carnelian rounds. You can, of course, swap those out with pretty much anything you like. You don't have to have those particular stone types or even sizes. But as you can see from the finished necklace, that's what we'll be incorporating in between our beaded beads and towards the back of the necklace. We'll be finishing this off with 2 wire guards, one on either side, some jump rings, crimp beads and covers, a lobster clasp, and we will add an extender chain that you can add your own charm or additional bead to at the end. Got that little owl from the bead box just as an example. So to get started with our little bead woven components, we need to string a comfortable length of beading thread onto a size 10, 11, or 12 beading needle, and I'll be using the 6-pound test or 0.006 inch diameter Fireline, and I recommend using the crystal if you have it or a white color, but because I'm doing this for the tutorial, I want you to be able to see the thread better, so I'll be using the black color. So go ahead and gather up your materials and thread your beading needle, and we will jump into this tutorial. For each of these small components, you'll be using 3 bicones and a small amount of 11/0 seed beads. And to get started, we're going to pick up 4 11/0s. Pull those down to the tail end of your beading thread and leave yourself a few inches over there that you'll be weaving back in just a little bit. And then sew through all 4 of those seed beads again. We're going to start to form these into a loop. And to complete our loop, let's go through the next seed bead one more time. And we start out with something like this. Now I'm not going to use a stop bead or anything, but if you'd like to, if you prefer to, you are more than welcome to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm actually going to just go ahead and make a single half hitch knot right here. I'm going to go underneath the thread bridge between the 2 seed beads right where I'm coming out and make a loop and sew through that loop and then pull that thread down, and that half hitch knot will just get us off to a good start, keeping our tension in place but not being anything too bulky or tight. And then let's just sew through the very next bead. And what we're going to do now is just pick up another 11/0 and sew directly through the next one and do that 3 more times. So do that all the way around, pick up an 11/0 and sew through the next one and turn, pick up an 11/0 and sew through the next, And we have one more to go. And this time we'll sew through not only the one that we would normally go through, but the next one as well. So we end up with this expanded diamond shape now. And before we move on, I'm just going to stick a needle onto the tail thread and weave that around a couple of times just to get it out of the way for the tutorial. You're welcome to do that now also, or wait until later, that's up to you, but I will be right back. Always feels better to get that tail out of the way. And we're coming out of this seed bead up here at the top. Let's go ahead and pick up one of our bicones, another seed bead, and one more bicone. And then we're going to go through the seed bead on the opposite side of the diamond. So sew through that one there at the bottom and give that a pull. And you should have something like this. Let's continue sewing through the seed bead we get to next. Pull it tight. Skip the seed bead that is at the very top. Sew down through the next two. It's going to help that seed bead at the top to stay sticking out more. And then sew down through the next bicone and through that new seed bead that's right in the middle of the two bicones. And give that one more good pull, and you'll notice that the small diamond of seed beads, that's going to sit sort of on top of those two bicones that we just added, which is what you want. Now you can pick up 8 more seed beads. And then bring those down. And sew back through that seed bead again, but this time go back in the opposite direction and bring those 8 seed beads to your beadwork. Now sew through the next 2 seed beads that you just added and pull. And now we're just going to be shaping up the corners on this piece. We're going to create another seed bead diamond. Let's pick up one more seed bead and then this time sew through the next 2. Pick up another seed bead, sew through the next 2. Pull. Pick up one more seed bead now and sew through the next 2, as well as the one that is in the center of the 2 bicones. And use your needle and just make sure those that you just added are sticking out. We've got those 3 new ones that are forming the peaks of that new diamond. Now with my thread coming out of the seed bead that is in the middle of the 2 bicones, we can pick up a 3rd bicone, and that one is going to be positioned on top of that bottom diamond. My thread is coming out of this side of the seed bead, so when we look down here at the opposite seed bead, which is what we're going to connect to, let's go through that one from the opposite direction or the opposite side first. And just secure that bicone on top. Now with my thread coming out of this side of the bottom seed bead, I'll go back through the bicone again and pull. And don't pull too tight, you still want to be able to have that seed bead at the bottom, creating that peak. And then because we started from this side, as we wove around, let's now sew through the other side of that seed bead where we started that. So that is actually all that you have to do to create one of those bead woven components, and now we just need to weave our thread back a little bit and make a couple of knots to secure our thread. So I just went back up through the next bicone. I'm going to go under that thread bridge, make a loop, and go through that to make a 1/2 inch knot. Pull this nice and tight, making sure everything is still shaped up nicely. Like I said before, this diamond at the top will be positioned sort of on top of those 2 bicones. You can see how on the back it's tucked in front right there at the bottom. Let's go through 2 more seed beads, and I'm going to make another 1/2 inch knot right here. And then I'm gonna still skip that seed bead at the top for two reasons. One of them, of course, we want it to stay sticking out, but also that's where we're gonna be stringing our bead woven components onto our bead stringing wire. So we wanna leave that whole of the seed bead as free and clear as we possibly can. So skip that one, and then I'm just gonna go through the next couple. I'll go down through this bicone one more time, through that seed bead, and then we can either use a thread burner and burn off that excess thread or give that a little trim. So that is all there is to making that component. At this time you can make 14 more of those, and then we'll be able to assemble everything together. So just back up the video if you need to refresh your memory on how to do this. Keep cranking out more of those little components, and then we'll be back and put it all together. And welcome back, everyone. So now that we have our 15 bead woven components, we can start putting everything together. And I wanted to give you another look at the particular bead stringing wire that I'll be using. This is the Softflex in the antique brass color. It is the medium weight 26-pound test with a 0.019 inch diameter. You definitely want to go with something that is that diameter or a little smaller if you have it, because you want to make sure you'll be able to go directly through a 11/0 seed bead, which we have at the top of these little guys, and I had no trouble with this particular size of bead stringing wire. You can use any brand you want, any color you want. I just wanted to draw your attention particularly to the size. I'm going to be making my necklace about 18 or 19 inches long, so I have trimmed about, I would say, 22 inches of the bead stringing wire to work with. And of course, you can adjust that size based on your needs or however long or short you want to make your necklace. Just add yourself a few extra inches to the total necklace length so you'll have enough to finish both ends off with. So on one side, I am going to add one of these handy little clamps. You can add any type of a clip or just try to be really careful, and that is going to stop beads from rolling off the other side. And I can work with one end of my bead stringing wire. And I'm just going to start with the middle of my necklace and work my way out on both sides. You can, of course, just start with one end and work all the way to the other if you'd like to, but I usually start from the center and just build the necklace out. Totally a personal preference thing, that's all. So let's go ahead and take one of our components, and you want to go through the seed bead at the top there that is in the smaller diamond above the two bicones. So you can go ahead and string that down. Next in the sequence, I'm picking up another 11/0 seed bead. I'm going to pick up a 3mm faceted round, another seed bead, a 6mm, another seed bead, my next 3mm, and seed bead. And then we're ready for another one of our small components. So I'm just going to pick up the next one and make sure that I'm going in the same direction to string that on. I'm actually going to swap these. There we go. So you can just keep adding that sequence just like this if you're doing the same type. We'll do another one together, a seed bead, and our 3mm, another seed bead, the 6mm, seed bead, $3mm, seed bead, and of course our next component. So continue following that pattern until you have all your beaded beads onto your bead stringing wire, and after that we'll start working towards the back. And welcome back. I have completed one side already, and we can go ahead and finish up this side together. That way you'll know what to do on your other side. And I'm coming out of the last seed bead here of the beaded component, and I'll just continue on a little bit with 3 more of these English cut beads and alternate them with some more 3mm. So I'm going to pick up an 11/0, and then I'll pick up one of the 3mm, and then another 11/0, and then an English cut, and then another 11/0, followed by another 3mm, and a seed bead. Go ahead and string down what I have. I'm just matching what you see on the other side. And just make sure you trim your beading wire so it's possibly at a little bit of an angle. That'll help you get through the beads easier. And just make sure you don't have any jagged edges like I did when I got started on this side. So let's keep going and alternate those beads a little bit. And from here on out, we're just going to add an alternating pattern of a seed bead and a 3mm, and I'm going to do 14 of these to finish up this side of the necklace. All right, so we've come to the end of our bead stringing, so let's finish off this end of our necklace together. We'll first pick up a crimp bead, or you can use a crimp tube, and we'll pick up a wire guard. And we'll loop around the other side of the wire guard. And I'm just going to trim my wire a little bit shorter so it's easier for me to feed that through. Just backing that up a little bit, and then I'm going to feed the other side of the bead stringing wire through that same crimp bead. All right, and then I'm going to use some pliers to just help me here. I'm going to hang on to that one end and start to pull that wire guard closer to the beads and pull that down so that it is sitting in the groove of the wire guard and not sticking up too much. And now once you have that situated, you can come in with your crimping pliers and make one large crimp right there, and then go a little bit closer to the front of them, and then make one more crimp onto itself. Make sure it's secure, and then trim off your excess beading wire. And now we can add our other findings. I'm going to do a little bit larger jump ring over here with a segment of some chain that I snipped off that'll be large enough for our lobster clasp. Just want to twist that back, twist that open, feed that onto our wire guard, and add our lobster clasp, and then twist this back. That'll sit just like that. And then we'll just add another one of these little crimp covers over top of the crimp bead. Just gonna pinch that closed. Try to keep its rounded shape as best as possible. And that completes our necklace. Feel free to add a charm or another embellishment or one of your coordinating beads at the bottom of that extender chain if you'd like to. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this project and working with some of the items from this month's bargain bead box. Once again, all of the materials and links will be listed right down below the video so you can get your hands on all of the things that you need. And be sure to check out the bargain bead box subscription if you haven't already. I'll also link to similar products from BB Craft, and don't forget you can use the coupon code OPAL5 to save $5 off your purchase of $40 or more. Feel free to leave a comment down below. I always love to hear from you. Let me know if you plan to give this a try or if you have tried it and how it went. Be sure to give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel while you're here, and feel free to share this video wherever you like. That's all I have for now. I hope to see you all again real soon, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and as always, happy beading.